Let's learn how to make a tiger, a super awesome Henri Rousseau inspired tiger to add to the tiger mural. So what we did first was we made a bunch of painted papers. We learned to use the primary color of yellow and the primary color red, and we mixed them together to create different papers with different kinds of values of orange. So once we had a nice big stack of orange papers to choose from, we all picked one out and we drew a tiger on them. So I'm going to show you those steps. So the first step for drawing a tiger together is to use oil pastels. When you're using oil pastels, your oil pastels do not have to be brand new and they don't have to be beautiful in order to make a beautiful work of art. These are our oil pastels. You can see we've used them a lot. They're not pretty, they're not perfect, but they make beautiful art. So the first thing you're going to want to use is a white oil pastel. The white oil pastels often look a little bit dirty. And if they look dirty, then you can just peel back your paper and clean them. Only the part that you draw with needs to be clean. The first thing you'll do is find the middle of your paper, and then a little bit over from the middle, you're going to draw a circle. Now, if you make your circle too small, like I did, it's okay. Just try it again. Draw it a little bit bigger. And then once you've got it the right size, then you can go ahead and color it in. I'm coloring the whole thing white. I'm using the elements of art. The first thing I did was I used a line, and then I turned my line into a shape, and then I added color, baby, color. So far, I've used 3 elements of art. I need another eye that's about the same size. I think I actually want to make mine a little bigger because this is showing the white fur that goes around a tiger's eye. So I'm going to measure it, hold my fingers really still, put my fingers down. Now I'm making another circle, and again, if I don't do it right, it's okay because I can just try again. And once I've got it the right size so that the 2 are about the same, then I'm ready to add the color. And you might notice that your paper is lumpy and bumpy from the paint. So there's another element of art of texture. So now that I've got the white part around the eyes finished, for the fur, I can switch to the color of my tiger's eyes, which I'm going to use light green and dark green. They're both green, but because they have 2 different values, value is an element of art. So I'm going to start with light green and color it in. This is the iris, or the colorful part of the tiger's eye. I want the eye to look a little bit like it has form. Form is another element of art, not flat. So to do that, I'm going to add a little bit of a curved line here to make the eye look like it's popping out a little bit. This will also help it make what some people call 3D. Now, we will be using a black oil pastel, but we're saving that for last. So I'm switching back to white again, and I'm going to decide how far down I want my tiger's nose to be. If I go too far, I won't have enough room for the other parts of his face. So sometimes it helps to practice drawing with your finger first, and that way you can imagine what it will look like before you actually draw it. Oil pastels, you can't really erase with them, so that's why it's important to do that first. Now that I've got that, I know to draw a line going across the bridge of the nose, and then I can add the nose, which is shaped like a triangle that's pointing downward. And I'm coloring it white because I'm going to add pink, and once I add white, it'll help make the color light. When you make a color light, that is called a tint. My next step is I'm going to add a curve from here to there. That's the muzzle of my tiger. So I'm doing that on both sides. And if I don't do it quite right, it's okay because I am coloring it in. And once I've got one side done, my tiger is the same on both sides. That's called symmetrical. So he's exactly the same on both sides. I'm doing my best to try to make him look the same, and I'm doing my best to try to color neatly. Boom, done, nailed it. My tiger's starting to take shape a little bit, but I think I'd like for him to have a tongue and a chinny chin chin And if I want that tongue to show up, because my paper's red, I have to color this white first. And just like I did to my nose, I'm going to use a different kind of pink this time. I color over the white. The white helps to make it light. All right, I'm almost finished. I need to do the top of the head. I think I'll put a little polka dot where I want the top of the head to go. Starting at the side of my cheek. So I put another little dot there and there so I know where to start and stop. I'm going to start down here. Go all the way to that dot, and if I miss the dot, it's okay. It's just a guide dot. It's there to help me. But if I'm going to the right place, then I'll be in good shape. It's a little crooked, and that's okay. Maybe his head is turned a little bit. Now I can add his ears. You all know the shape of the ears. And another ear. And voila, I'm almost finished. Now is the fun part, because now I get to use my black oil pastel to add all of the details. Here's the thing with the black oil pastel. Just like all oil pastels, they can smear. The reason we're using it last is because that will lessen our chances of it smearing. So whatever you do, don't wipe your hand across your artwork. So I'm going to start with the pupil because that's what he sees with. Oh, now he's really taking shape, and I'm going to outline the eye. I'm doing the same thing on the other side because it's symmetrical. And if my oil pastel breaks, it's okay. They break really easily. They are made of oil and pigment. Pigment's another word for color. That oil makes them pretty fragile. I'm tracing over the bridge of his nose and his nose. I'm even tracing the muzzle. I'm going around my edges. I think I'll give him a little line for his tongue. Now I can start to add things like his stripes, because after all, that's what makes him a tiger, are his stripes. So let me finish his ears. Piece of cake. Now I think I can really use the stripes to show emotions. If I angle the stripeys down with a zigzag line, he might look a little fierce or kind of angry. If I have them go across like a rainbow, he might look a little bit more friendly. I like to add a little bit of stripes underneath his eye. I like to do the same thing on both sides since he is, you got it, symmetrical. And now I'm going to add some whiskers. All right, let's check out those elements of art we use. We've got line, shape, color, form, texture, because that paper has a texture, space, because it looks like this part of his face is closer to us than that part, and value, because of all the different kinds of greens that we use, and your paper should have different kinds of values in it too. Piece of cake. I hope you guys had fun.